Some NFL players were tough, but these guys, they were straight up terrifying. Bone-crushing hits, cold dead stares, and a fear factor that shook the entire league. These are the 10 scariest players in NFL history. 10. Lawrence Taylor, the man who changed the game. Quarterbacks didn't just fear LT, they had nightmares about him. Playing for the New York Giants, Lawrence Taylor didn't just play linebacker, he redefined it. His insane speed, raw power, and relentless aggression made him unstoppable. Offensive linemen, helpless, quarterbacks, terrified, coaches, forced to rewrite their entire game plans just to survive him. And then came the moment that sealed his legacy in fear. November 18th, 1985. One hit, one career-ending injury. LT sacked Joe Theismann so brutally, his leg snapped in two on live TV. The injury was so gruesome, even Taylor himself immediately waved for medical help. But that was just one moment in a career of dominance. LT played like he was possessed, racking up 132.5 career sacks, 2 Super Bowl rings, and an MVP title, something almost unheard of for a defensive player. He wasn't just one of the scariest players ever, he was a force of nature, and after Lawrence Taylor, the NFL was never the same. 9. James Harrison, the human wrecking ball. You do not want to be on the wrong side of James Harrison. Built like a tank and hitting like a freight train, he wasn't the tallest player, but he was the meanest. Let's talk about Super Bowl 43. Harrison snatched an interception and took off, 100 yards to the house. But he wasn't just running, he was trucking defenders, refusing to go down. A play so relentless it became legendary, and his workouts? Straight up terrifying. The guy was benching 500 pounds like it was warm-up weight. His gym sessions looked like they were designed by a mad scientist. The league tried to slow him down, fined him over $100,000 for excessive hits. Harrison's response? I don't care. That's James Harrison, one of the most ruthless defenders ever. And the scariest part? He loved every second of it. 8. Ray Lewis, the ultimate predator. If you saw Ray Lewis staring you down before a play, run. This man wasn't just a linebacker, he was a wrecking machine, the heart and soul of the Baltimore Ravens defense for 17 years. Lewis didn't just tackle, he hunted. His bone-crushing hits made even the toughest players think twice before running up the middle. He racked up 2,000-plus career tackles, won 2 Defensive Player of the Year awards, and earned 2 Super Bowl rings while delivering some of the most brutal hits in NFL history. And then, there was the speech. Ray Lewis didn't just play football, he turned every game into a war. His pregame speeches could fire up a brick wall. The scariest part? He never slowed down. At 37 years old in his final season, he still led the Ravens to a Super Bowl win. Ray Lewis wasn't just a linebacker, he was a force of nature. 7. Deacon Jones, the original QB nightmare. Before sacks were even a stat, Deacon Jones was out here wrecking quarterbacks for fun. He didn't just tackle QBs, he hunted them down like prey. Playing for the Los Angeles Rams in the 60s and 70s, Jones was so dominant that he literally invented the word sack. Why? Because in his words, he treated quarterbacks like a city under attack. He sacked them. If sacks had been recorded back then, experts estimate he would have had over 170 in his career. And then there was the head slap. Jones would smack offensive linemen in the side of the helmet so hard that they would be dazed for the rest of the play. Brutal? Yes. Illegal today? Absolutely. Offensive linemen feared him. Quarterbacks had nightmares about him. And the NFL had to change the rules because of him. Deacon Jones wasn't just scary, he was a walking horror movie for QBs. 6. Mean Joe Greene. The name says it all. When your nickname is Mean Joe Greene, you already know you're terrifying. The anchor of the Pittsburgh Steelers' legendary steel curtain defense, Greene played like a bulldozer with no brakes. At 6 feet 4 inches, 275 pounds, he didn't just tackle people, he threw them around like rag dolls. Offensive linemen? Helpless. He was so dominant that teams had to double and even triple team him just to slow him down. And if things weren't going his way, he had no problem punching, kicking, or even spitting on opponents. Yeah, he played mean. But despite his on-field rage, he became famous for a Coca-Cola commercial where he smiled and threw his jersey to a kid. It made him look soft, but trust me, on the field, there was nothing soft about Mean Joe Greene. 5. Bruce Smith, the sack machine. Imagine lining up against a 6'4", 265-pound monster whose only goal is to bury your quarterback. That was Bruce Smith, the most feared pass rusher in NFL history. With a record-breaking 200 career sacks, no one has taken down more quarterbacks than him. He wasn't just strong, he was fast, ruthless, and relentless. Offensive linemen? Helpless? Blocking him one-on-one? Suicide. Smith didn't just hit QBs, he broke them. He'd trash talk, stare them down, and make sure they felt his presence on every play. He led the Buffalo Bills to 4 straight Super Bowls and won 2 Defensive Player of the Year awards. His terrifying mix of power and speed left quarterbacks shaking in their cleats. When Bruce Smith was coming, there was no escape. 4. Jack Tatum, the Assassin. They didn't call him the Assassin for nothing. Jack Tatum wasn't just a hard hitter, he was downright cruel. Playing safety for the Oakland Raiders, he turned the football field into a danger zone. His hits were legendary and brutal. His most infamous moment? The hit that paralyzed Darryl Stingley in a 1978 preseason game. Tatum never apologized, saying, "That's just football." Wide receivers feared him. Running backs avoided him. Even his own teammates admitted he played with a cold, ruthless intensity. If you ran across the middle of the field, you were getting wrecked. Tatum helped the Raiders win Super Bowl 11 and built a legacy as one of the most feared enforcers in NFL history. He wasn't just about winning, he wanted opponents to remember his name and fear it. 3. Dick Butkus, the most feared man in football. If you played against Dick Butkus, you weren't just trying to win, you were trying to survive. This Chicago Bears legend didn't just tackle players, he destroyed them. At 6'3", 245 pounds, Butkus played like a rabid animal let loose on the field. He didn't just hit, he hunted. Quarterbacks dreaded him. Running backs avoided him. Even his own teammates said he played like a caged beast. And the trash talk? Relentless. He'd let you know he was coming, and that there was nothing you could do about it. His dominance earned him 8 times Pro Bowler, 2 times Defensive Player of the Year. A reputation as the most ruthless linebacker in history. Simply put, Dick Butkus was the reason players checked under their beds before game day. 2. Ed Reed, the ultimate ball hawk. If you were a quarterback, throwing near Ed Reed was like playing with fire, and most of the time, you got burned. Reed wasn't just a safety, he was a mind-reading assassin. He could see plays before they happened and strike before QBs even knew what hit them. 1 second, the receiver is wide open, the next, Reed is sprinting the other way with the ball. 64 career interceptions, NFL record 107-yard interception return. A terrifying reputation for crushing hits. Even Bill Belichick, arguably the greatest coach ever, said, "Yo, Ed Reed is the best safety I've ever seen." He led the Baltimore Ravens to a Super Bowl win, turned defense into an art form, and made every quarterback second-guess themselves. Ed Reed wasn't just scary, he was a football genius with a mean streak. 1. Reggie White, the Minister of Defense. They called him the Minister of Defense, and trust me, he played like a man on a mission from above. At 6 feet 5 inches, 300 pounds, White had the perfect blend of power, speed, and technique. His signature move? The club. One swing of his massive arm, and 300-pound linemen were launched like ragdolls. With 198 career sacks, second all-time, White wasn't just dominant, he was unstoppable. He outsmarted every offensive lineman in his path, dismantling teams single-handedly. Super Bowl champion 2 times Defensive Player of the Year, 13 times Pro Bowler. For 15 seasons, Reggie White was the ultimate nightmare, one quarterbacks never woke up from.